Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I'm Tyler here with my brother Ryan. Today we are breaking down the Buffalo Bills 2024 NFL Draft. It was a lot of fun watching the entire draft with Ryan here, and we're going to be breaking down the Bills picks. But before we do that, if you haven't already, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the Tracy Take, and also tackle the bell to get notified when new Bills videos come out. We're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the start of the 2024 NFL season, so any help between now and September is greatly appreciated. Ryan, Bills ended up trading back just a couple of spots here. I will say I know they didn't get a first round pick overall. I think what they did though, you go back 5 spots, they ended up then getting a lot more draft capital and specifically a third round pick, which they initially did not have. So really spaced out their picks. Ended up going with a guy that I think a lot of people probably thought that they would end up getting anyways, Keon Coleman, a big outside X guy. I think he's a great compliment to Khalil Shakur, to Dalton Kincaid, and the rest of the team as well. Super athletic guy. I know you're on the fence about him because he is super athletic. How do you think he's going to fit in here with the Bills offense?
So he is. What are his measurables? He's
6'5",
6'3", 215.
Okay.
And so like that profiles out to be this like outside X receiver, right? There's going to be a jump ball guy. And like that's just actually not what he is. He is a over the middle, right? Build up speed, right? Catch and run type of guy. And I think the Bills needed more of the outside X receiver that's going to go up and get a lot of contested catches. And another thing, he just doesn't separate. He doesn't have a lot of suddenness to his game. And that's just kind of hard to add. It's like kind of like height. You can't really teach it. You just kind of have it or you don't. And like you can go and like lift weights and do things to build that suddenness in your game, but you can really see in and out of his routes. He doesn't quite have that nuance that you want to see yet. He is an athletic freak, and he played basketball for Michigan State. He also was a receiver at Michigan State on a two-way scholarship up there, and then he transferred down to Florida State, and he entered this draft. So I don't want it to sound like I'm like poo-pooing this pick. It's just I don't want Bills fans to go into it with this expectation of like, oh, we got this huge outside wide receiver that can go up and moss everybody, when in reality, he caught 30% of his contested catch targets. And like, he doesn't have the suddenness to really threaten deep. He more has like that build up speed. But I will say, even like you can go watch Mike Evans. Mike Evans does a really good job of setting up all of those deep like 9 routes. And Keon Coleman just doesn't have that quite in his game, and he just needs to be developed into being able to do that.
Yeah, no, and I think that's something that the Bills can do. I also think as well, kind of with his ability and Josh Allen's improvisation as well. I'm very curious. If him and Josh Allen can get on a wavelength of like when they can just know like, hey, go deep here, I'm going to throw it to you.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch just because of his just athletic capabilities as well. Doesn't have the jump ball percentage as of right now, or maybe ever. But I think he complements to kind of what they have right now and where they're going, especially since they moved on from Gabe Davis also. At minimum, I think it's going to be good foundation for them when they get a stud receiver in next year's class as well. So moving on now to their second round pick, picking at 60 here. End up going with Cole Bishop, safety. A lot of pieces moved on from last year's team, especially in the secondary as well. So addressing that secondary spot here with Cole Bishop. Ryan, what are your thoughts overall on Cole Bishop here?
Yeah, going here in like the middle of day 2, I thought he'd be an early day 3, late day 2 guy, but very like versatile guy. Plays mostly in the box, but he can play like in a 2-high system. I think you look Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. I believe they moved on from both of them. I believe this offseason, and so you try to get a replacement here for one of those guys, and I think. He has really good traits, I think, to potentially be their replacement. I think still needs a little bit of work as well. He ran really well at the combine and athletically has a good profile. But I think needs some work on the backside of this defense.
Yeah, I understand that. I can understand how if he wasn't as high on our boards, that's why I'm going to trust that they get that process. I'd like that they address the positional need overall, especially to addressing the safety as well. Just trying to get younger. Because if we're being honest, and two, the Bills had one of the better defenses last year, and a lot of that was from their front seven, who a lot of those guys they were able to retain or they improved later on in this draft here as well. And so getting a younger secondary, trying to get better in that aspect, I think is going to help out a lot.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
moving on now, they did pick up a third round pick, and already, as we talked about as well, addressing that defensive interior. Really like Dwayne Carter here from Duke going in, joining this defensive interior as well. I think that's one of the kind of the core identities of this Buffalo Bills team is just a bunch of just great defensive linemen that just keep going after the quarterback here. I think they get another good one here with this additional pick that they obtained from trading back in the first round.
Yeah, and coming into this offseason, they had I think 4 of their 5 or 5 of their 6 defensive tackles were hitting free agency, all except Ed Oliver. They retained some, they add some rookie depth here, and to me, I think going into this draft, this was a spot that they really needed to beef up,
Yep.
and not just literally, but like on the depth chart. And Dwayne Carter, good prospect, 6'2", 300 pounds, can athletic, can get after the passer. He's decent against the run, needs to add some ability there, but all in all, just another good prospect here.
Yeah.
So
I
let's
agree with that.
move. Let's move into their day 3 picks. They had a lot, looks like 7 day 3 picks. Starting off, one of my favorite running back prospects, Ray Davis, has a great story about growing up in a foster home.
That
Really
was
talent,
interesting. Yeah.
really talented back, except he is older. He's going to be 24. He has a lot of tread on his tires already, and has some previous injury history. So had a really good senior season at Kentucky. Cedric Van Pran, experienced center from Georgia. And then Adefuan Ulofoshio, Javon Sullivan, 2 decent depth pieces there. Tylen Grable, I think, is really interesting. He's a good athlete. And then Daquan Hardy, and then Travis Clayton as well.
Yeah.
Just a couple other depth pieces there.
Yeah, I really like kind of just their overall strategy as well. And Daquan Hardy was a cornerback.
Yeah, out of Penn State.
Out of Penn State, yeah. And so I think like with Ray Davis, he's a little bit older, but I think it's great just kind of change of pace or just to give James Cook a rest because they're definitely going to be that more of an emphasis for a full season now for the Bills. Like keep running the ball just with how well they ran the ball last year. Mm-hmm. And so I think beefing up the offensive line as well against Cedric Van Pran, Grable, and Clayton, I think are just good pieces as well. And then I think dressing each level of the defense with edge rusher, linebacker, and corner as well. Just keep trying to improve this defense as a whole.
Yeah,
I think in general, the Bills had a good draft class. Nothing crazy, but we ended up grading each team against one another as well, not just like individually on how we thought they did. So B was about average for me. So them being a B plus, they had a better than average than most of the other teams in the class. I really like that they got their new outside receiver as well. They addressed all levels of the defense. They even kept improving their offensive line as well. And I do think that Cedric Van Pran, I think that's great value overall. So, Ryan, why did you end up going with the B?
Yeah, B minus to B was about average, so they're on like the higher side of my average. I just didn't like. I liked a lot of the picks. I don't want to say like bad feelings about some of the other ones, but like the Keon Coleman pick was okay. I think like that's probably where he was going to go. It's just I wasn't super high on him as a prospect, and so I feel like I had to be true to that. Honestly, now that I think about this, I should give them like a D because of how they allowed Kansas City to go get Xavier Worthy. That is so frustrating. They have owned you for 3 years in the playoffs, and you just go and give them Xavier Worthy. Like, blows my mind that is the trade that they ended up accepting. But anyways, just based on the draft picks, giving them a B. So all in all, I think the Bills, they got some good players. I think I don't want to say it's a rebuilding year for the Bills, but I think it's more of like a reconfiguration of the Bills roster because they have Josh Allen. I think they're still going to be competitive, but they did have a lot of transition happen this offseason. And so I think it's going to just be a little bit of a reconfiguration for the Bills.
I think reconfiguration is the right word. I mean, I remember going in last year where like this team's not that good. The defense is getting older, and then they ended up winning the AFC East again. So John McDermott, Josh Allen, they have that team in check. They were finally playing the Buffalo Bills football we were saying that they needed to do, which was get James Cook and just run the ball in between the tackles. And some of their performance in the second half of the season opened things up. And so they're able to run the ball. like how they were in the second half of last season. I really like the fact, and really like, even though they moved on from Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs, I don't think it's going to be as big of a concern because they do have a good young group of receivers.
Yeah.
I think that they can develop. So I'm not too concerned about the Bills overall on a rebuilding year or reconfiguration year, as we like to say.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of the Buffalo Bills 2024 draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And on that, we will see you guys next time.